Greetings, Quester. The Meddlesome Meeples present Tome Talk with Matt and Richard.
Well, welcome to this week's Tome Talk, in which Matt is going to be talking about this novel, or novella, by John W. Campbell, which is Who Goes There? And why might people already be familiar with this story?
It's because it's the novel that inspired The Thing.
Yeah, and you can kind of tell from the front. It's like very icy with somebody behind it. So
quite reminiscent of the classic picture of the...
Wasn't it the guy in the parka?
That's right, with the lights
Light
blaring out.
Yeah, but definitely you can tell it's set somewhere cold.
Yeah. And it's actually inspired 3 different films so far, because there was the Thing from Another World back in 1951.
Right.
That went with kind of more of an imposter kind of feel than an alien presence. Then there was obviously probably the most famous adaptation, which was John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah.
Back in 1982.
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell there playing MacReady, who is a character again in the original novella. They didn't really import many of the characters and give them their proper names in The Thing from Another World, but in John Carpenter's The Thing, many of those characters are there with the same names, the same roles.
What, the one from this?
Yeah, from Who Goes There straight into the John Carpenter's The Thing. There are a couple of characters where there's different name changes. So, for example, Benning in this is Bennings. So it's only very minor, but then you've got characters like Kinner in this, who becomes Knowles in the film. So there are some different changes.
But you can tell who they're meant to be.
You can, because they're in the same profession and they do the same sort of things.
So you said that was from 1951?
No, the first film was from 1951. The original book, well, the copyright in the book says it's from 1934.
Wow.
I looked it up. According to other websites, this was originally released in 1938. So I don't know if it was... I always thought it was around about 1934 time. So maybe I don't know if those websites are wrong, or maybe it appeared in a publication and then was later released in a book form.
But if it's a novella, then it could have been in a few collections.
I know it has definitely been in some over the years, but whether or not it was when it was originally released, I'm not sure. But basically, this, as I say, has inspired those 2 films. Plus, there was the 2011 film, The Thing, which was a prequel to the John Carpenter film.
Because that's also just called The Thing, isn't
Yeah.
it? It gets confusing. But, yeah, you say it's a prequel. It's like the previous outpost that got destroyed by it.
If you've not seen John Carpenter's The Thing, it starts off with this dog running towards the base, and the dog had come from the Norwegian base, hadn't it? And in the 2011 film, that's where they go into it with the Norwegian team discovering the Thing.
Right, yeah.
What happens at their base before it makes its way over to McMurdo, to the Antarctic Research Outpost that they're using.
So it's like everything up until
with the Americans,
when it was a dog that ran into the other
yeah.
yeah.
So, those 2 films, I mean, they're not for children. They're definitely not for children. But I saw them when I was quite young, and I absolutely loved them.
I watched them.
Well, I saw the John Carpenter.
I was
when
about
I was
29 when I watched it, and it was pretty scary. So yeah, it's not for children.
So now, I don't want to say too much about the story because of risk of spoilers. So I'll just give you the basic introduction to it. Now, it starts off where they've found the Thing, they've taken the Thing back to the base, and it starts off with quite an interesting debate there, because it's MacReady and Blair and Dr. Copper and one of the other characters, Barclay, I think it was, and they're basically having an argument. And the whole of the base has been brought to them. Now, in the film of The Thing, there was only 12, but in the book, there was 37 people stationed at the base.
Right. That would have made a very different film, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Commander Gary's there as well, and he's involved in all of this discussion. But basically, they found this thing in the ice, and some of the team want to just kill it. Others of the team want to try and thaw it and study it, thinking that once it thaws, it's going to be dead, because the premise is that lower life can be frozen, and if it's quick frozen, can come back to life, basically, because the cells in the lower life forms, as they are unfrozen, will basically regenerate and will be able to connect to each other.
less superstructure that
Yeah.
would get damaged. Like
Where more
tardigrades.
complex life
Yeah.
forms, that's not going to happen because they won't be able to get that cooperation going again.
Right. Okay.
So on that premise, they think, well, this is definitely not a lower life form. It's not going to come back to life if we thaw it out. So it should be safe to thaw out and try and study it, because this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, obviously, to find and study an presumably alien species.
Yes.
And they do think very early on that it is alien.
Okay.
Several reasons for that. One, this isn't really a spoiler because they tell you in the first few pages, they find its ship
Oh right.
about 10 feet away from where they find the alien.
Did that happen in any of the films? No.
They do find the ship, but in trying to gain access to the ship, they accidentally blow up the ship.
Right. So then all evidence is gone.
Yeah. So all they've got left is the actual creature itself.
But they still know it's alien. Then.
And this, yes, but they from that they deduce that it's an alien creature and not something native to Earth. But also, it's so alien in appearance. And it's quite an interesting debate here, because some of the team think that it's inherently evil
Right. Okay.
because of its, malevolent appearance.
Yeah.
And
Remember,
others of the
this-
team
this
say,
is the
well, you
30s.
can't judge the appearance because, Blair tries to make the argument, for all we know, that could be just a look of peaceful resignation on his face, accepting his fate. In his world, we can't judge his world and their characteristics by us. And he tries to use the example that in some Oriental cultures, they would use white as a colour for wearing during mourning, as opposed to black, which is what we do in the West.
Yeah, and they used to use blue for girls and stuff like that.
That's right, yeah. So he tries to, and it's quite an interesting little debate there about the fact that you just can't necessarily judge this alien creature by our own standards.
It seems obvious to us, doesn't it, in this
Yeah.
day and age? But yeah, if you think of like Lovecraft books, stuff like that, the whole idea that these monsters are hideous and they're going to drive you insane by looking at them, and that kind of thing was a little bit more in the collective consciousness, I think.
Yeah, obviously that is undermined by the fact that when they thaw it out, the creature starts killing everybody. But
yeah, but still,
it's still an interesting debate. You couldn't
assume
determine that.
No, it was either going to be aggressive or not. Turns out it was aggressive. Yeah. I defend to the death. It's right to kill everybody and not to be prejudged.
Yeah. So it's actually, it's not a very long story. It's about 76 pages, 75 pages, something like that. It's definitely a novella.
Yeah.
The collection I've got here, there's 244 pages, but that includes an interesting introduction from the original author. It was originally published, I think it was in the New York Times back in the late 40s. Yeah, New York, 2nd of February 1948. From the original author. That's quite interesting when he talks about writing style and methods and ways of crafting plots and characters and things like that, and the different kinds of plots that you can do, the gadget stories, the character stories.
So does it read like a 30s story then, like the type of language used and everything?
At times, but one of the things that's really interesting in this is the way the author incorporates the science into the story.
Oh, good.
And this is one of the things I think that you'd quite like about it, is that he very much goes into the science of matters, of why things happen.
Yeah.
Obviously, our knowledge of science has improved by then. So, for example, things like the atom, when it's mentioned, isn't necessarily what we would think of today.
No.
In the sense of we know much more about it. It's not what he's saying is wrong. It's just that what he's saying we now know more about.
Yeah.
But it's still quite interesting to have the science of the story presented as well. But it doesn't present itself in a way that makes it boring or studious. It's very well explained.
I kind of like it when there's a character in an old story will be saying something like, "Oh, we don't, or this remains a mystery to science," and you can read it thinking, "I know."
I'm more intelligent than anyone in this book.
Yeah, they're all idiots except me.
So obviously, you've got this issue here that some of the characters, as they transported it to the base, because it starts off with the thing in the base, but then they're telling the story of how they found it, how they transported it to the base, some of the events that happened along the way, things with the ship, and that's all before you get into like the action part of it and things going wrong on the base and the creature as it awakens and the terrifying nightmare scenarios that then befall them. And some of the occurrences that happen in the novella are taken straight into the thing, John Carpenter's thing, the film.
Yeah, okay.
it's been well documented that John Carpenter's The Thing is the more faithful of the adaptations, because it very closely mirrors. It's not so much that they've taken things away, it's more that they've added bits to it with regards to the chase scenes and the action, and but the key elements in the story are there as well. The ending is slightly different, well, not slightly different, the ending is different between the book and the film.
Well, then there's a reason to read it.
There is a very good reason to read it, and it is a good ending in the book, just like the ending in the film. The ending in the film is one of my favourite endings.
Yeah.
Because it's deliberately left open to interpretation and discussion.
Well, something's good's going to happen next.
Yeah.
You can just decide what you think it is.
Yeah. And I would say that this is definitely a highly recommended read for me. I personally will go back and read this again down the line. As I say, John Carpenter's The Thing is probably my favourite film. It's a film that I've loved ever since I've first seen it, and I've seen it repeatedly.
And this is making me want to watch it again.
It really is. I mean, I read this and thought, if I finish this in time, I could sit up late and watch The Thing.
Yeah.
So I've planned to hopefully watch that this weekend. But it is an absolutely fantastic story. One of the things that is different in this book, and you will find out as you read through, is that the creature, unlike in the film, is telepathic.
Right. Okay. Because obviously it mimics. So alright. So
See,
it has telepathy as well.
In John Carpenter's The Thing, it's assumed that when it absorbs a creature, that it takes on its memory, its personality. In this, it also does that through telepathy. So they're trying to figure out a way to stop the thing, and they're having to very deliberately not think about it, or to make it harder for the thing to know what's going on.
So with it being called Who Goes There, obviously I think the one in this, it sounds like it'd be much better at mimicking and stuff because it can learn things.
It can learn different things, yeah. What's quite interesting is it goes into how the cells work on the thing. Probably more so than it does in the film.
Right, yeah.
So again, this is a fantastic read, especially to accompany the actual film itself.
Yeah. It's being a novella, it won't take too long, so it's well worth doing.
Well, I basically sat down and read it in one evening. So this is my recommendation for this Tome Talk. Who Goes There, the novella that inspired The Thing by John W. Campbell. It is also currently a Kickstarter campaign for a board game of Who Goes There, which looks absolutely fantastic.
This already exists.
Yes, this is a print and play
card game.
This is a print and play version of The Thing.
It looks like a video. I always think it's a double video of it. But...
It's sat inside a video case. I bought that from somebody I knew on a board game group on Facebook, Board Game Trading and Chat UK, and that is a lovely little game. But there's, as well as the Who Goes There that's coming out through Kickstarter, there's also I think Mondo are making a version of The Thing. I think it's called The Thing Outpost 31 or something like that.
Right.
And that looks good, but arguably not as good as Who Goes There.
But we'll have to talk about
We'll be talking about both of those because you can guarantee they are both going to be in my collection.
And they'll be on the Quest report at some point.
So please be sure to check out the Quest report and keep up to date with that. And we'll be bringing you more of The Thing.
The Thing, yeah, in various things. At the moment it's the tome we're talking about, but there will be different media of it.
Yeah. So stay human.
So Matthew thought that was good. What are your thoughts? Let us know.
Farewell, Quester. To find out about other productions by the Meddlesome Meeples, then check out our channel or rendezvous with us at meddlesomemeeples.com. Until next time, Quester, farewell and keep thine axe sharp.